Well, boy, let me tell you, your net worth is your self-worth, right? Because if you don't believe in you, I could assure you anybody that you're presenting your idea or your idea or your vision to, they're not going to believe in you either, because poor self-esteem will throw you into a whole nother place. The people's voice. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is the people's voice. I am Trey Evans and I am the people's voice. Thank you again for checking us out this time. It is greatly appreciated. We appreciate each and every one of you for listening to the podcast. Those of you who are new to the podcast, my name is Trey Evans and I am the people's voice, as I said in the introduction. But again, thank you for checking out the podcast. As always, if the information has been helpful and informative, enlightening, please share that information. Also, if you don't mind, please subscribe to the podcast so you can be notified when the podcast is released, which is every Friday, typically somewhere between 8 and 10 in the morning. And then also we post the video every Friday up on YouTube at 3 p.m. So subscribe, tell somebody to tell somebody. And again, thank you for the support and for listening. So today I want to talk about a subject that I think everyone at this point has experienced. And I think it'll be very much relatable and it'll be a great conversation or discussion to cover. So today I want to talk about failure. And I want to talk about failure because, well, for several reasons. As we are getting here to the end of the year, the end of 2022 is rapidly approaching. We've got, less than 40 days, I think, at this point, towards the end of the year. And because of that, myself, I normally begin the process of evaluating my year. I'm looking at, what I've done well, what, the success that I've had in certain areas or tackling certain goals and dreams. And then also looking at, kind of where I may have fell short and where I can make improvements at. So today I wanted to talk about failure and kind of go through some of the reasons why failure occurs. And I'm talking about on an individual basis, but it can be applied across the board, right? It can be applied in business and your organizations that you may be a part of from a volunteering standpoint, so on and so forth. Failure is universal. So it always will peek its head at some point, whether it's professionally or personally. And so I want to talk about that, some of the reasons why failure occurs, some of the benefits of failure, and, even, some of the ways that we can possibly prevent failing or failure from happening. So that's what I want to talk about today. And I think this will be beneficial to everyone. So first, as always, I like to start with a definition. And, definitions, as I say every week, they're just good foundations, gives a good starting point. And then from there, we can build on the conversation regarding this particular topic. So regarding failure, I went to the dictionary.com because I wanted to kind of see what is failure. We use the word so loosely and so broadly. What is it exactly? And so let me read that definition. So first, failure is, it's the root word. It's the root word of failure is fail. So, failure is an act. The noun is an act of, or an act of failing or proving unsuccessful, lack of success. This is the definition from dictionary.com. It also says non-performance of something due to non-performance of something due, required, or expected, deterioration or decay, especially of vigor, strength. It could also be, subnormal quantity or quality or insufficiency. But to stick with the first explanation, so failure is an act or instance of failing or proving unsuccessful, lack of success. And, failure, as I said previously, that it is universal. If you have lived, right, not even lived long, if you just have lived, if you have been born, you've experienced failure, right? Just bottom line, you've experienced it. And when it occurs, just speaking from a personal standpoint, of course it's shock, it's dismay. Sometimes when it occurs, you expected it, right? Especially if it's something that you haven't properly prepared for, or you kind of didn't take the necessary steps to ensure that success would be likely. Sometimes failure occurs, but it's in those moments where you are 1,000% sure that you were going to be able to accomplish something, and then you come up short, and it gives you that moment of reflection to figure out what went wrong. And so I think I want to start there first. I want to start with some of the reasons why failure occurs. Again, I'm talking from an individual standpoint, but it's applicable in your profession, in your business, if you're a business owner, organization, leader of an organization. It's all applicable. So what I was doing in terms of my research, I go through several articles, videos, you name it, to kind of prepare for the podcast, because I want to ensure that I don't fail to provide information regarding these topics. That's one of the things that I try to pride myself on, is that, I would like to refer to actual either articles or videos, because I don't want to just be in a position where I'm just talking opinion. But let me get into some of the reasons why failure occurs. And this was from an article that I was reading on Success magazine, or success.com, and they kind of broke it down into 7 categories on why failure occurs. And like I said at the beginning, I think this would be very relatable to everyone. At some point, you're going to see something in your life that you've done that these 7 steps were, one of these 7 steps were occurred, which resulted in failure. So let me first go with the first one. So these, again, the 7 steps on why individuals fail, whether you fail at a goal, a dream, relationship, business, all applicable. So the first one is lack of persistence. And I'm big on persistence. I'm big on persistence because of, my profession, which has been in sales, essentially for, 20 years at this point. I can tell you that to be successful in that line of business, you have to be persistent, right? It has to be every day that you're thinking about the next opportunity. You're thinking about how to strategize. You're thinking about not only thinking about it, but then you're applying those strategies and those thoughts to obtain those goals. Persistence or lack of persistence, oftentimes, and even for myself, when I have come up short, many times it has been because I haven't been persistent either at driving at that idea or that goal, or haven't been persistent enough in terms of gathering information. But persistence is the first one. So I'm going over there's 7 reasons why people or individuals often fail. And again, this is applicable individual, business, organization. So lack of persistence. So it says here, most people fail not because they lack knowledge or talent, but because they just quit, right? It's important to remember that there are 2 very important words: persistence and resistance. Persist in what must be done and resist what ought not to be done, which I think is a great commentary from this article. But that is something that is very common. Most people end up failing at a goal or a dream because they quit. And I know it sounds so simplistic, but the only way that number one, you're going to find out if it works or not, is that you got to keep going until there is no place else to go with it, right? It's the road analogy, right? You driving down a road, you're trying to get to the road of success, and it gets a little bit dark, and all of a sudden you go, I'm not going down there, I'm going to go off. And then you're sitting back, 4 or 5 years later saying, man, I should have kept driving down that road. I'm using an analogy, but this is an example of persistence. So one of the first reasons why failure occurs is because lack of persistence. People often quit before they even get to the good part of their goal or their dream or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish in your life. The second one is lack of conviction. Lack of conviction is big. I did a piece a few years back on conviction, and I'm trying to remember it as I'm talking. But conviction is big because conviction is conviction is a state of mind, right? Conviction, there is no, when you have conviction about something, there is no alternative, right? It is a done deal. You firmly believe that you're going to accomplish this. And in order to be successful and to avoid failure in your attempts to become successful in whatever it is, and success, I'm not talking about levels of success because success can be subjective, right? But whatever it is that you're trying to become successful at or successful in, you have to have a conviction, and that conviction has to be deep. So let me read here. It says, people who lack conviction take the middle of the road. And what happens in the middle of the road, you get ran over every time. You can't be halfway in, halfway out. You got to, in order to see success, you have to have your whole foot in. You have to have conviction, not belief. And there's a difference between conviction and belief. Belief can sometimes change depending on the circumstances, but conviction is an absolute. So that's the second reason why oftentimes people may fail, because just lack of conviction. They're not all the way bought into what it is that they're trying to accomplish. Third reason, rationalization. And just to go back again, I'm reading from success.com. They did an article here on the 7 reasons why failure occurs. And so I'm going through those 7 steps. And I'm now at number 3, which is rationalization. And it says, winners might analyze, but they never rationalize. Losers rationalize and have a book full of excuses to tell you why they couldn't succeed. Change of perspective. Definitely. You have to change your perspective. When you fail, right, you want to be able to, of course, analyze what areas that you didn't do well in, what you could have done better. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's actually very good when you fail and you take that information, because that's part of the gift of failure, right? You get information from it. But when you try to rationalize it and then you sit and you go, well, if this would have happened, if that would have happened, well, no, we don't have time for the ifs. Get the information on why you failed, or why the organization failed, the business failed, whatever. Let's get that information and let's apply it. Let's make it applicable, so we can now move on and apply it to becoming successful or to avoiding failure the next time that we attempt to become successful in that particular goal or achievement that we're trying to tackle. So definitely rationalization. Let's not rationalize. Once the failure occurs, let's analyze and see what we done right, what we done wrong, and let's apply it and let's move on. Number 4 is dismissal of past mistakes. And this kind of just piggybacks on what I just said. When we are going towards our goal and our dream, or trying to be successful in our relationships, in our business, you can't dismiss some of the steps that led to the to where you're at now in terms of the failure. You have to take that information and again analyze it and find out what it is that you did right, what it is that you did wrong. Don't just dismiss it and go, oh, well, that was that time. I was younger then. That was at the other company. That was in the other relationship. No, don't dismiss those things. Those are the gems. You need that information. So definitely, don't dismiss past mistakes that led to the previous failure in whatever you're trying to tackle or get accomplished. Number 5 is lack of discipline. And again, I'm going over the 7 reasons why failure occurs, as noted in an article from success.com. So number 5, lack of discipline. Discipline, I'm trying to think, can't think of the author, but he talked about discipline and being disciplined. There has to be a reason to be disciplined, right? You can't just be disciplined for discipline's sakes. And if you are committed to your goal and your dream and to your aspirations, you have to be disciplined in making those things come to fruition, right? And that, whether that's just time, building relationships, educating yourself, whatever it is, there has to be a discipline there. And if discipline is lacking, then the ability to accomplish your dream and your goal will fall by the wayside as well. And it says here, no one who has accomplished anything worthwhile has done it without discipline. Discipline takes self-control, sacrifice, avoiding distractions and temptations. And boy, that is like spot on. You have to take control. You definitely have to have a stomach for sacrifice. Like, you really, my thing is always, there's 24 hours in a day. There's 24 hours in a day. And, sometimes when I'm having conversations with friends or family and they say, well, I didn't have the time. I'm like, there's 24 hours in a day. There's like 24. I get that, you're working. I get that you have families. I get that you have a relationship. I get you want to be social, but there's 24. There's no 24. Like, yeah, sometimes you got to work at 3 a.m, right? Sometimes you got to get up at 4 a.m. And I can tell you from personal experience of working at 3 a.m, 2 a.m, in various roles. Many of you may not know, but I've worked in radio for a number of years. I did morning radio. I know what it's like to get up at 4 a.m and grind it out, get back to the house at 4 in the afternoon. I've been there, I've done it, I'm telling you. But going back, lack of discipline, sacrifice, avoiding distractions, temptations, these are the things that will help you in terms of your pursuit to avoid failing. Not saying that you're not going to fail. You can do all those things and still fail. Trust me. Number 6, poor self-esteem. Again, I'm going over the 7 reasons why individuals fail. This is an article that was on success.com. Poor self-esteem. I mean, the phrase is your net worth is what is it? Your network is your net worth, or whatever people love to say, and that is true, right? You definitely need a network when you're going towards net worth, right? Especially when you're thinking monetarily, because that's what most people use that. But boy, let me tell you, your net worth is your self-worth, right? Because if you don't believe in you, I could assure you, anybody that you're presenting your idea or your idea or your vision to, they're not going to believe in you either, because poor self-esteem will throw you into a whole nother place. And this goes into the type of job that you have, the business that you have, the relationship that you have. I don't want to, I'm not going to get into the relationship thing, but a lot of bad relationships is because people get into them and they have self-esteem issues, and the person that they chose, it's not a good pick. And it was like, well, he or she was standing there, so I just grabbed them because my self-esteem is low, and now we failing in our relationships. Just saying, this happens, but this is not about relationships. This is about failure. But that's another reason why self-esteem is important, right? Like I said, people love to say your network is your net worth. I always say your self-worth is your net worth. Because if you believe in you, then your net worth is limitless, right? Nobody can determine what you're going to be worth or what your value is, because you value yourself so high. So it's very important. It says here, poor self-esteem is a lack of self-respect and self-worth. People with low confidence are constantly trying to find themselves rather than creating the person they want to be. That right there is gold. Self-worth is important in terms of avoiding failure. And then last but not least, it says a fatalistic attitude. A fatalistic attitude prevents people from accepting responsibility for the position in their life. They attribute success and failure to luck. I mean, I'm pausing for effect. Like, one of my pet peeves is when, somebody might say to me, "Oh, you're so lucky. Oh, you're so lucky. You get to there is luck. No, I do not practice, believe in luck at all. There is no such thing as luck. I'm sorry. Now, again, I know people may argue and say, well, no, luck happens to certain people. No, there is no such thing as luck, especially when it comes to success. There's hard work, there's dedication, there's conviction, there's motivation, there's discipline. There's those things, but luck, there's no such thing as luck as far as I know, right? Let me take that back. As far as I know, there's nothing that's been lucky in my life, and there's nothing that's been bad luck in terms of my life, right? So even when I've had the moments when I haven't done well or things haven't gone my way, I don't just, dismiss it. Once again, as what was that number 4? Dismissal of past mistakes. I don't dismiss it as, it's just bad luck. Just had bad luck. No, don't dismiss that. Everything happens for a reason. I firmly believe that. And I firmly believe that you are in control of a lot of those things that can happen. So going back, fatalistic attitude prevents people from accepting responsibility for the position in their lives. They attribute success and failure to luck. They resign themselves to their fate regardless of their efforts and assume whatever has to happen will happen anyway. No way. No way. Fatalistic attitude, can't have that, especially when you're trying to understand the reasons why you failed. You definitely have to get rid of that type of thinking, that type of attitude. So those are the 7 reasons why, or the 7 reasons that Success Magazine shows as the reason why individuals fail. So let me just recap again. Number 1, lack of persistence. You got to stay on it. You can't quit. Lack of conviction. You can't just believe. You have to have convictions. Convictions are absolutes. No bargaining, no negotiating. Number 3, rationalization. People try to rationalize what has happened instead of taking that information, analyzing it, and then making it applicable to the next time that they attempt to make that change, that goal, that dream, their relationship, that business, whatever. Number 4, dismissal of past mistakes. Can't dismiss what has happened. You need that information. It's critical information. Businesses do it all the time. Businesses will create a product. It don't go, and they'll go, wait a second, it didn't work, but these 3 parts we need these because we're going to revamp and put it into something else. Don't dismiss past mistakes. Lack of discipline. Again, sacrifice, discipline, avoid distractions, avoid temptations. Easier said than done. We're all human, but those are the way that is one of the ways that you can avoid failing. Lack of discipline. That's number 5. Number 6 was poor self-esteem. Again, your net worth is your self-worth. If you believe that you are priceless, then nobody can put a price on you. So you have to have the highest level of self-esteem possible. Nobody can make you feel better about you than you. I'm going to stop there. And then last but not least, a fatalistic attitude. And that, again, we can't just give it off to luck, good or bad, success or failure. We can't just say it's good. I had good luck. I had good luck. Good luck is winning the lottery, right? And I don't even believe in luck, like I said before. That's luck. But in terms of your pursuit and your goal and your dreams, there's no luck, bad luck or good luck. There is hard work and no work, as far as I'm concerned. That's my opinion on that. So those are the 7 reasons why failure occurs. Now, so I covered why failure happens. Now, failure, again, can be healthy as well, right? So we don't want to just, walk away. I'm reading an article here from the Association of Accredited Naturopathic, organization, and they talk about some of the health benefits of failure. Number 1, they say it promotes the development of coping skills, right? When you learn how to fail, you learn how to cope as well, right? So when setbacks occur, you're not just blown away because you're like, oh, well, I failed at A, B, C, D, E, and F. So I'm not going to trip now because I know what this process is. So it helps to develop coping skills. It helps to prevent stagnation. When you fail, again, for those who take it in, internalize it, analyze it, the first thing you want to do is you want to get back out there. You want to try something else. You're like, well, that didn't work, so now I'm going to try this. So it prevents stagnation. It increases empathy because when you fail, you understand when someone else is struggling with that and dealing with that as well, right? So you develop a higher level of empathy for people who are striving to do what they, want to do, whether it's a goal, dream, business, relationship. And when they fail, you have an understanding because you've been through it as well. And then it proves that failing is not the end of the world. And it's not. We all have failed. Every individual living and breathing has failed. Listen, I say this all the time. Babies learn how to walk by falling down. That's how babies learn how to walk. If you ever watch the baby, they'll get up, they'll shake a little bit, they'll wobble, they'll try to grab something, they'll fall, but they get back up. That's how you learn how to walk. Failure is the same concept. When you are trying to get something done and you experience a setback, you can't just lay there and allow it to just be the end. You have to get back up and start the journey again. If you truly want to see the goal and the dream be realized. So again, it proves that failing is not the end of the world. It is not the end of the world. You're not the only person that's going through it, and you will survive it. And if you truly want it, you will analyze what happened and you'll apply it to the next venture, to the next action, to the next goal, next relationship, next business, so on and so forth. So that is the benefits of failing, right? So we covered the reasons why, and we also covered the benefits of when failure occurs and what that does from a health standpoint. So that is what I wanted to discuss today. And I know with confidence that this is helpful to someone. It just has to help one person, really. I mean, it's helpful to me. So I've already accomplished my goal because I've helped one person today. I've helped me. But I do hope that this helped you as well, with all seriousness. Listen, the end of the year is coming up. Evaluate what you've done well, what you haven't. Again, in whatever you've done well, let's take that information. Let's apply it to some new goals. What you haven't done well, let's get that information and let's, redesign it so we can take some of that information and apply it to the new goals for the new year. And let's get started now. I'm not a New Year guy. I don't do New Year's resolutions and things of that nature. Like I said, I do my process usually October, November. I start to analyze and write down of what I did wrong or right, and then to start at the start of December, I'm going right. I'm already plotting and what I'm going to do next. So do this. I recommend that you do the same. I know time is critical, but again, there's 24 hours in a day, ladies and gentlemen. Utilize each hour of the day. The best way to do that is plan those hours out, and I'll talk a little bit more about that on the next podcast. But again, I hope this information was helpful and informative and enlightening. Please leave a comment on my socials. If you want to leave a comment, you can reach me at I am Trey Evans. That's IAMTREYEVANS. And that is on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and then you could also reach me on Instagram at Trey B Talking. Trey B Talking. That is my time for today. As always, dreams are not just for sleeping. Please wake up and live your dreams. My name is Trey Evans, the people's voice. Tell somebody about the dream. Salute.
I am Trey Evans. The people's voice.